Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Korach in America, Parshas Chukas here in Eretz Yisrael. And one has to wonder the connection between these two parshas. What am I going to do with it this week? And the truth is, there is a tremendous connection between the two parshas. And this idea that I'm going to share is appropriate for both parshas. Let's talk about the parsha in Eretz Yisrael. Let's talk about Chukas, which tells the story of the Mem Riva, tells the story of the water of the not speaking to the stone, but to hitting it and really causing Moshe's undoing. Of exactly when he was undone already, that's a whole other discussion, but that this really caused his undoing. Seems to be a tremendous punishment for not speaking to the rock. In the end, it's still a nace, whether he hit the rock or spoke to the rock. Getting water out of a rock, last time I checked, was like a big miracle. So what difference does it make whether he really, okay, I understand the implications, bad implications, but why would it cause that he wouldn't go into the land of Israel? The Egel didn't get them kicked out of the land of Israel or barred from going into the land of Israel. So why would this get them barred from coming into the land of Israel? So we know that one of the educational objectives of the Midbar was to teach about Korach HaDibur, the power of speech. The power of speech is what separates us from animals. The power of speech is what gives us really our Korach. When it says that God breathed a breath of life into the human being, the Aramaic translation says that breath of life was the ability to be able to speak. It's what sets us aside and apart from every other creature and every other organism in the world, that we have an ability to be able to speak. It's the Korach of the Jewish people. Hakol, Kol Yaakov, the voice of Yaakov. We have the ability to pray. We have the ability to be able to take our insides and to bring them to the outside and be able to express who we are on the inside with our world and keep it consistent and concurrent with the world that we're living in on the outside. We find that in the Midbar, we got the Aseres HaDibros, right? The 10 commandments, the 10 utterances, the 10 words that were spoken to set our lives in a different direction. We find stories about speech. We find the talking donkey. We find the story of Korach, of the whole parsha this week in America, of Korach's rebellion, which was a rebellion of words, where he taunted Moshe, where he said certain things about Moshe and about Aaron. The story of the Meraglim, the story of the spies that took place in the desert. The complaining that we did on numerous occasions, complaining about the Mun, the complaining about the death of Miriam, the complaining about the fact that the clouds had gone. We're just constant complaining and constant kvetching with using our words to really abuse Hashem. The whole story of Balak and Bilam, of cursing and of trying to use our words to curse and destroy the Jewish people. Time and time again, we find in the Midbar that it's all about speech, because at the end of the day, part of what we needed to fix going into Eretz Yisrael, getting ready to go into Eretz Yisrael, was that we needed to put into place our Korach HaDibur, because speech not only separates us from animals, speech is more than just words. It's actually communication. It's taking our insides, like we mentioned, taking our insides and bringing them to the outside and connecting ourselves to the people outside of us, connecting ourselves to the world outside of us, and connecting ourselves in a very deep and profound way by taking our souls, expressing them in words, and then bringing that and connecting that with God himself. This Korach HaDibur, this power of speech, and this Kedusha Sapeh is something that's so critical to our lives, that the book of Vayikra, which is dedicated to it's a book of Kedusha. It's dedicated to teaching us about Kedusha. It's Kedusha Adam, the Kedusha of people, of man, because it talks about Tum and Tara. Kedusha Zman, the Kedusha of time, it talks about the Yom Kedusha Haaretz, the holiness of the land of Israel, where we talk about Shemitah and Yovel. The Makala, the story of the Makala, the story of the curse in the book of the Yikra. Because to teach us what happens when you don't use Kedusha correctly and when we abuse Kedusha Sapeh. Because Kedusha Sapeh, Korach HaDibur, that's really the key of our existence. That's our calling card. That's our hallmark. Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded to speak to the rock. because he needed to instill in Bnei Yisrael before we entered into the land of Israel what Dibur can do. And that Dibur can accomplish missing the flows, it can accomplish incredible things. But he missed that opportunity. Missed the opportunity to use that Korach HaDibur and to instill in us this message that we needed to hear at the precipice of coming into Eretz Yisrael. That what comes out of your mouth is as critical as what comes into it. And that you can build worlds with the words that you say. How, when, where you use your dibur can make all the difference in the world. I don't mind what they said, but I care about how they said it. It's the most common thing. How we say things, how we utter things, it becomes critical. And that inability to be able to have this kinds of kedusha sapeh, to have this lesson of kedusha sapeh, that barred Moshe Rabbeinu and Klal Yisrael from entering into the land of Israel. And that's why it's considered such a hefty crime, such a terrible thing. Because it was a missed opportunity to instill in us a lesson in a positive way. We got the lesson in the negative way because we saw what happened to Moshe because he didn't speak to the rock, because he hit it, because he abused this Korach HaDibur. So we got that message anyway, but we get the message in a negative way, not in a positive way. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu was punished so severely. Because it was a missed opportunity to teach a kol Yaakov. It's something that we need to remember. Our mouths are lethal weapons. Our mouths can give life, and they can also wreak havoc. Our mouths can make incredible connections and can sever incredible connections. It's fascinating that marriage has to be done with the mouth. You have to make a declaration. And if we don't say those words, there's no marriage. There's no betrothal. Because the words set apart and make and create the most important institution in the Jewish people, and that's the Jewish home. Because everything has to be based on communication. Everything has to be based on the words that we use. And this is what we have to learn from last week's Parshas of Korach. Korach abused that Korach HaDibur. Moshe Rabbeinu, how he misused the Korach HaDibur. And now we have to be misaking, we have to fix that. And we have to use our words to build, to praise, to pray, to connect. Because our words can build elamas, can build worlds. Because our kol Yaakov. Because our power comes from the voice, our power comes from our words. Have a beautiful, amazing, awesome Shabbos, everyone.